Aloha. Aloha kakahiaka kako. This will be calling the order of the agenda for the meeting of the Board of Trustees. Please let the record reflect that today is Thursday, February 6, 2025. The time now is 10:02 a.m. And Board Secretary, please take the roll.
Trustee Ahuna.
Eu.
Trustee Akaka.
Eu.
Trustee Akina.
Aloha mai kako.
Trustee Alapa.
Present.
Trustee Galuteria.
Eu.
Trustee Lindsay. Here. Trustee Souza.
Eu.
Trustee Waihe'e.
Present.
And Chair Kahele.
Present.
We have 9 trustees present. You have quorum.
Okay, aloha kako. This meeting can be viewed via live stream on OHA's website at www.oha.org/livestream. For those joining us on Zoom today to testify or listen, please note that we're using the webinar platform rather than the standard Zoom meeting format. As an attendee, you will be able to watch and listen to the proceedings. If you wish to testify on a specific agenda item, please follow these steps. Please raise your hand to indicate that you would like to speak. We will change your status from attendee to panelist when it is your turn. This may take a few seconds, and so we appreciate your patience. As a panelist, you will have the option to turn on your camera and unmute yourself to provide your testimony. And once you have finished testifying, please mute yourself and you will be returned to attendee status. Our first and foremost, I'd like to welcome everyone and the general public that's here today to our OHA Board of Trustees meeting. We have a very, very long agenda today, and members of our public that have come to testify, and so we look forward to hearing from them. But really quickly, I'll recognize our Pouhana to introduce any of the executive leadership team and your staff that are here today.
Mahalo, Chair. Good morning, Board of Trustees. Joining us today, we have our Chief Operating Officer, Kehau Pu'u, Chief Financial Officer, Ramona Hink, Endowment Director, Ryan Lee, Financial Analyst, Grace Chen, Interim Corporation Counsel, Everett Ota, Interim Senior Legal Counsel, Nichi Ozawa, Senior Director of Hawaiian Cultural Affairs, Hailama Farden, Director of Advocacy, Lena Alale, Director of Oiwi Wellbeing and Aina Momona, Ku'ike Kamakea Ohelo, Director of Economic and Business Resilience, Poni Askew, Interim Director of Land Assets, Lori Walker, Director of Communications, Bill Brennan, IT Systems Engineer and Administrator, Daniel Santos, and Kelsey Wade. Mahalo.
Thank you, Pouhana. And then for the Board of Trustees, we also have our hardworking staff here with us today. And so mahalo to all of our trustee aides and secretaries for helping prepare us for today's Board of Trustee meeting. Also joining us at the board table is our Board of Trustees legal counsel, and that would be Richard Naivi Werdeman. So mahalo, Naivi, for joining us today. Our first item is status of OHA activities. Lehua, do we have anyone signed up to speak on this item?
No one is signed up to speak on this item.
Okay, then we'll move to agenda 2, which is the status of OHA activities. This is the opportunity for the Pouhana, our CEO, to give an update on the administration to the Board of Trustees and any significant activities that are happening in the administration. So at this time, the chair will recognize Pouhana Stacey Ferreira for the admin update.
Mahalo, Chair. Last week, I was able to attend a trip with a delegation from the state of Hawaii to visit one of the Native American tribes in Tacoma, Washington. And the basis of the trip was to look at different economic opportunities and how the tribes are working with their state entities in developing aquaculture. On that trip, I was also able to make connections with the Dean of CTAR, who is new to the University of Hawaii, and a bunch of other leaders from across the state departments. But what was most advantageous of the trip is, one, learning about the opportunities of how we can work with our communities to look at economic drivers for our rural communities, especially those that are living along the coast. But was looking at how we can better partner with state departments. And so we will be putting together an MOU draft for the board to review, but to work very closely with CTAR. And so CTAR is willing to provide their land agent support, knowing that we have an extensive portfolio of land holdings. And CTAR will be able to bring their extensive expertise in agriculture and economic development when it comes to agriculture to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. And additionally, we will be working with them to look at how to restore and reinstate the Ahupua'a system. And so this is some work that they're currently doing at the university as well, looking at that ecosystem. And so we're really anxious to put a draft together and get that in front of the board. So that's a recap of that. And then, we're continuing to just plug along with the legislative session. And we've had a very successful first quarter, if you will, at the legislative session with our bill package passing all of its first committees. So we're very grateful for our advocacy team and the good work that they're doing there. But other than that, that's about it.
Trustees, do you have any questions for the administration? Trustee Akaka.
While I appreciate this update, I would appreciate more if we could get this information prior to you going to Seattle so that we are made aware of it, given that you are our employee and we overseeing you, for us to be aware of that. And that if we do have any questions or inquiries or wonderings, that can be presented to you prior, and then you can address it during that trip. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pouhana, any planned trips coming up in the near future, or any opportunities for OHA or the admin to that are being afforded to us?
Well, the Raiatea signing ceremony was completed, and so there is going to be planning efforts
Okay.
in April for a contingent from OHA to be represented in Tahiti.
Okay.
So those logistics still need to be put together, and so it will be, the Board of Trustees traveling along with some of the administrators.
But nothing else similar to like what you just
Oh,
recently
no,
did. That's
no.
what I meant. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I don't
Okay.
have any other state-related travel.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Do you know, is it standard practice where once you, someone, either yourself or someone from the administration goes on a trip like that, there's a written report that's provided to the board?
Yes, and I will provide one. It's
Great.
just I haven't had a chance to
Yeah.
meet up with the CTAR dean to put together all of the details.
Okay.
So I can have a comprehensive report for the staff, but
Okay.
for the trustees, but I will.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, mahalo.
Trustee Lapa?
I wanted to ask on this trip, what was your greatest takeaway? And how would that influence OHA and any decisions here going forward?
So obviously, the tribes have various economic streams in which they help to pay for their tribal activities. So gaming is one, of course, and their aquaculture industry is a smaller part of their overall revenue generation, and it brings in about $50 million a year. And so gooey duck is like the biggest aquaculture commodity, but they also are farming crab and clams and, salmon. So there's a host of things that they do farm. Their biggest moneymaker is export to China, right? But what I think is most helpful for us as we think about our Native Hawaiian cultural and traditional practice and our rights to be able to access the ocean for traditional gathering and things, they have something very similar for the Native American tribes. So they're able to use their waters, that are adjacent to their reservations to be able to create economic development for the tribes. So even though the waters are have the oversight by the state of Washington, they are given traditional rights to be able to farm there for free. And now I don't know if that would be necessarily the same kind of deal that we could work out with the state of Hawaii, because right now it's more on an individual practitioner, gathering. But I think it's worth looking at how we might work collaboratively with DHHL, who is also on the trip, to see how OHA and DHHL may be able to partner on aquaculture activities, especially with the numerous fish ponds that are across the Pouhana that are inactive right now. But part of that conversation in restoring fish ponds and with the potential of feeding our communities first and foremost, and then also looking at how we can use them as revenue generators for our communities. is also restoring the water flow from Malka to Makai, because many of those diversions have stopped that natural flow, and that's why the current fish ponds are defunct. So there's a lot of policy work that needs to happen. But I think it's an opportunity for OHA and DHHL to really explore some opportunities to not only feed our people, but also to generate revenue to sustain our communities.
Trustees, any other questions? Okay, Trustee Aquino?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate the opportunity. And I appreciate the fact that we have our CEO give us a report on what's taking place. I think we're at a time in which a rhythm is being created, and it's an important time. The comments that have been made earlier regarding communication of the administration to the board are good comments. I think that we all want to make sure that we're aware of what's taking place and so forth. But in this rhythm, we also want to take advantage of the new structures. For example, we have a Budget and Finance Committee that has specific responsibility for oversight of the CEO. And that may be a venue for communication on a more detailed level. And beyond that, I think we need to determine the rhythm we have in terms of what the CEO reports that affects policy at a board level versus management. I imagine, given our budget, our scope, our national and international work, that frequently opportunities come up for travel, for interaction, and so forth that aren't convenient immediately to convey to the whole board. And so we need to allow the CEO discretion with regard to that. But I think we're all working for communication. Thank you.
Anyone else? And on that note, this opportunity at every board meeting is an opportunity for the CEO or a member of her executive team to inform us, educate us on, things that are important to us. So as trustees, if there's something specific that you would like to feel that the board should be informed on by the admin, please send them to the chair's office a week prior. I'm happy to convey that to the CEO so that we can help appropriately tailor that admin update to something that's really important. Like, for example, yesterday, Trustee Aquino, you mentioned EVLA, right? We hadn't had an update like that in quite some time. So that also goes for our 3 committee chairs. There's something specific you think that we need to get an update on, communicate with them, but absolutely look at this full board of trustee opportunity with the CEO to do that. So just convey that to our office and we're happy to communicate that. Okay, thank you, Pouhana, and we are moving on to the approval of minutes. Lehua, do we have anyone signed up to testify on the approval of minutes?
We do have one person with their hand raised, Tara Rojas.
Okay. Tara, can you hear us?
Aloha, Tara, can you hear us?
Aloha, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. No, I thought I was able to just make a quick comment on what was just previously shared. Just, and what everything that you learned was awesome and what you mentioned, because even in meetings, that's what, I advocate for just the restoration of everything you learned. Just a quick clarification. By you going and hearing and learning all of this, in no way are you advocating for to become a tribe, like a nation within a nation, right? Just to clarify, just to know for the record.
Yeah, you can pause. Hey, Tara, well, we're not discussing that right now. We're talking about the minutes. Do you have any specific comments for the minutes?
No comments on the minutes. Mahalo.
Okay, thank you, Tara. All right, you're seeing and hearing none, can I ask for a motion on the approval of the minutes?
I second.
All right, so moved by Chair Souza and seconded by Trustee Aquino. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Ahuna,
Aye.
Trustee Akaka,
Aye.
Trustee Aquina,
Aye.
Trustee Alapa,
Yes.
Trustee Galuteria,
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay, Trustee Souza, Trustee Waihe'e,
Yes.
and Chair Kahele.
Aye.
We have 9 yes votes.
All right, thanks, Lehua. Moving on to new business, the Committee on Beneficiary Advocacy and Empowerment. The first item under this committee is A1, the 2025 OHA State Legislative Package. Lehua, do we have anyone signed up to speak on this item?
No one is signed up to speak on this item.
Okay. We're moving to number 2. Okay, so we're moving to item number 2, which would be the OHA position on bills naming OHA Matrix 2. Okay, copy. And can I get a, yes, Matrix 2. Trustee Galutaria,
Thank
can
you,
I get a
Chair.
motion?
Sure. Firstly, thank you to all for participating in a full and free discussion yesterday. Appreciate that. So your Committee on Beneficiary Advocacy and Empowerment moves to the approval of staff's recommendations for positions on bills naming OHA as reflected in Matrix 2.
Okay, do we have anyone sign up to speak on this item, Lehua?
No one is signed up to speak on this item.
Any discussion, trustees?
There needs to be a second, so I'll second it.
Okay, so second, no discussion. Trustee, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Aye.
Trustee Akaka?
Aye.
Trustee Akina?
Aye.
Trustee Alapa?
Aye.
Trustee Galutaria?
All right,
Trustee Lindsay? Trustee Souza? Trustee Waihe'e?
yes.
And Chair Kahele?
Aye.
We have 9 yes votes.
Okay, again, the 2025 Legislature's OHA's positions on bills affecting the public land trust. This will be matrix number 3. Can I get a motion?
Yeah, Chair, I move to approve of the staff's recommendations for positions on bills affecting the public land trust as reflected in Matrix 3.
Can I get a second? Thank you. Lehua, do we have anyone sign up to speak on this item?
No one is signed up to speak on this item.
Trustees, any discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ahuna?
Aye.
Trustee Akaka?
Aye.
Trustee Akina?
Aye.
Trustee Alapa?
Yes.
Trustee Galutaria? Trustee Lindsay? Trustee Souza?
Aye.
Trustee Waihe'e?
Yes.
Chair Kahele?
Yes.
We have 9 yes votes.
OHA's position on bills affecting natural resources and Native Hawaiian traditional and customary practices. This will be matrix 4. Trustee Galutaria.
Chair, I move to, for the approval of staff's recommendations for position on bills affecting natural resources and Native Hawaiian traditional and customary practices as reflected in Matrix 4.
Second.
Second by Trustee Waihe'e. Lehua, do I have anyone signed up to speak on this item?
No one is signed up to speak on this item.
Trustees, any discussion? Roll call vote.
Trustee Ahuna?
Aye.
Trustee Akaka?
Aye.
Trustee Akina?
Aye.
Trustee Alapa?
Aye.
Trustee Galutaria?
All right,
Trustee Lindsay? Trustee Souza? Trustee Waihe'e?
Yes.
And Chair Kahele? You have 9 yes votes.
Chair, I move for the approval of staff's recommendations for position on bills affecting Native Hawaiian housing as reflected in Matrix 5.
Second.
No one is signed up to speak on this item. Trustee Ahuna?
Aye.
Trustee Akaka?
Aye.
Trustee Akina? Trustee Alapa?
Aye.
Trustee Galutaria?
All right,
Trustee Lindsay? Trustee Souza? Trustee Waihe'e?
Yes.
And Chair Kahele? You have 9 yes votes.
Chair, I move for the approval of staff's recommendations for positions on bills affecting Native Hawaiian health as reflected in Matrix 7.
Second.
No one is signed up to speak on this item. Trustee Ahuna?
Aye.
Trustee Akaka?
Aye.
Trustee Akina?
Aye.
Trustee Alapa?
Yes.
Trustee Galutaria?
All right,
Trustee Lindsay? Trustee Souza? Trustee Waihe'e?
Yes.
And Chair Kahele? We have 9 yes votes.
Chair, I move for the approval of the staff's recommendations for positions on bills affecting Native Hawaiian education as reflected in Matrix 7.
Second.
No one is signed up to speak on this item. Trustee Ahuna,
Aye.
Trustee Akaka,
Aye.
Trustee Akina,
Aye.
Trustee Alapa,
Aye.
Trustee Galuteria,
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay, Trustee Souza, Trustee Waihe'e,
Yes.
and Chair Kahele. You have 9 yes votes.
Okay, all this position on bills affecting Native Hawaiian economic development, we Matrix 8. Trustee Galuteria.
Chair, I move for the approval of the staff's recommendations for positions on bills affecting Native Hawaiian economic development as seen in Matrix 8.
Second.
Okay, Trustee Waihe'e, seconds. Does anyone sign up to speak on this item?
No one is signed up to speak on this item. Trustee Ahuna,
I think, Chair, you should turn on your mic because you cannot hear a word you're saying.
okay,
Thanks, Trustee Ahuna. Okay, roll call vote again, please.
okay. Trustee Ahuna,
Aye, I heard that.
mahalo. Trustee Akaka,
Aye.
Trustee Akina, Trustee Alapa,
Aye.
Trustee Galuteria,
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay, Trustee Souza,
Aye.
Trustee Waihe'e, and Chair Kahele.
Aye.
You have 9 yes votes.
Thank you. Okay, OHA's position on bills affecting HRS Chapter 6E, the EV Kupuna Matrix, Matrix number 9. Trustee Galuteria.
Chair, I move for the approval of the staff's recommendations for positions on bills affecting HRS Chapter 6E as reflected in Matrix 9.
Second.
Trustee Waihe'e, seconds. Anyone signed up to speak on this item? Lehua?
No one is signed up to speak on this item.
Okay, trustees, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ahuna,
Aye.
Trustee Akaka,
Aye.
Trustee Akina,
Aye.
Trustee Alapa,
Aye.
Trustee Galuteria,
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay, Trustee Souza, Trustee Waihe'e,
Yes.
and Chair Kahele.
Aye.
You have 9 yes votes.
Okay, before we move on to the next item for approval, just wanted to mahalo our advocacy team for all the work they did on our legislative package and for our staff and for the work of the BAE committee and our chair and vice chair and their staff to approve this OHA now legislative package for the upcoming legislature and the current legislature. So mahalo for that. Okay, moving on now to OHA's position on the Honolulu County Council, Resolution 25037, urging the state of Hawaii to create a Hawaiian language commission.
Chair, if I may, can I call up our chief advocate? She wants to make a clarification prior
Sure.
to the vote.
Aloha, good morning.
Aloha.
I just wanted to be sure I was kind of casual when I described the resolution yesterday as a working group. It is to create, it's a resolution from the County Council urging the state to create a commission, and it lists 5 things that the commission would be responsible for: coordinating state and city efforts to perpetuate Olelo Hawaii, encouraging more people to learn and speak Olelo, supporting private and public organizations that want to have their own internal plans for advancing the language, conducting and commissioning research to advance and revitalize the language, and ensuring it remains a living language. I just wanted to read that into the record. I didn't give a complete description yesterday, and
Okay.
I wanted everyone to know what they were voting on.
Okay, great. We need a motion on this. Okay, second. All right. Lehua, anyone signed up to speak on this item?
No one is signed up to speak on this item. Oh,
Okay.
wait, Trustee Ahuna has his hand up?
Okay, but no one from the general public.
No. sorry.
Okay, so trustee discussion now and recognize trustee Ahuna.
Thank you, Chair. I just have questions. So when this commission becomes, I guess, into pass, does it mean that they have the rights to make decisions on our language?
I'll let
Why would we be forming a commission for what would this be for again?
You know what, it's actually not at the implementation stage, trustee, because it's a resolution from the city council urging the state to create the commission. So I think the idea from the council, this would, spur action from the legislature or from, the admin, and then there would be further discussion about the content. But this in and of itself doesn't mandate anything. It's just the county asking the state to establish a commission to accomplish those goals.
Yeah, thank you so much, Leigh. I just feel like we have a fiduciary obligation to our culture and our language, and the decisions should end with us and not nobody else. So I just want to make sure that I'm voting to support that OHA should be the last authority of who talks about the culture or anything like that. We're put in this position. I'm not saying that we should be doing it right off the bat, but we were put in this position, and I don't want to relinquish anything and give anything away. So I just wanted to make sure that if we can get any council to let us know what we should be doing. That's all. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Trustee Ahuna. I have one quick question, then I'll relinquish it to Trustee Akaka. Leila, do you know if there's any current pending legislation at the legislature this year proposing to create a Hawaiian language commission?
I can't answer that. No, I don't know.
That would be
I
good
think
for the board to know.
Yeah, I could check with our staff right now. I think we'd know about it if there was, but I don't want to say 100%, but I don't think there is.
I would
I just don't
imagine
want, yeah.
if,
I just don't want it to end up like the Borough Council.
okay, I would imagine if the city council is putting forth a resolution that maybe there's a vehicle at the legislature that we should be aware of, but you're not sure if the team has identified a particular vehicle.
I haven't seen it.
Okay. Okay, Trustee Akaka?
Can the produced resolution from the city council be shared on the screen for us to look at?
Sure. Do we have a copy of the resolution?
To put on the overhead?
Yeah, the proposed
So we can see. what we're
council
voting on?
resolution 25037.
I don't think I sent it to staff.
Let's see if.
If we take a quick break, we could get it to staff to put on the overhead.
Well, we can always, how about we do this? Yeah, let's come back to it. Is that okay? In this agenda, well, we'll come back to it, but Lena Ala, maybe by the time we get to the end of our BNF agenda, we can have the city council resol that we can put up on the screen.
Sure, would you like copies as well, or just on the
I
overhead?
don't think that's necessary right now. I mean, we can, unless trustees want a copy. I'm sorry? Sure. Sure. If we can get copies, let's get copies of the reso. At the very least, let's get an electronic version that we can put up there. And then if your team can do a quick keyword search of the legislative website and see if there's a proposed legislation to create a Hawaiian language commission, that would be good for us to know.
Okay.
I mean, obviously OHA would want to be on the Hawaiian language commission. And so we want to make sure that that makeup is reflective of our priorities. But let's come back to that. If that's okay. So we'll set that item aside on our agenda, which would be the last item on the BAE committee, if the board is okay with that, and we will move on to the Committee on Budget and Finance. We're good? Okay, so actually, we had a motion though, right, on that item? Didn't we have a second though?
They can always take it back.
Oh, yeah, we'll come back to it. Well, they'll get copies and stuff, but we can move on. Okay, let's move on then. Committee on Budget and Finance. This is the January 22nd, 2025 agenda. Our next item is going to be the Committee on Budget and Finance. The action item is number 2501. Lehua, do we have anyone sign up to testify on this item?
Sorry, there's no one signed up for this item.
Okay,
We gotta rescind the motion first, or just, okay,
okay,
okay.
okay. Trustee Lapa.
Good morning, Chair Kaile. At this time, I'd like to read the action item for BF 25-01, the OHA biennium budget for the fiscal biennium periods of 2023-2024. And the realignment number 3, approval of core and non-core budget realignments.
Second.
Okay, trustee Wahe seconds. Lehua, no one signed up to this, on this agenda item. Okay, trustees, do we have any discussion on the proposed budget realignments?
I think our chair needs to read in the fiscal year 25 as well.
Okay,
Right there next to the 23, 24, 24, 25.
oh, I see, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can read the and.
Yeah.
And
Okay, thank you.
mahalo for that.
So any discussion now on that, members? Okay, then let's get a roll call vote.
Trustee Ahuna,
Aye.
Trustee Akaka,
Aye.
Trustee Akina, Trustee Alapa,
Aye.
Trustee Galuteria,
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay, Trustee Souza, Trustee Waihe'e,
Yes.
and Chair Kahele. You
Aye.
have 9 yes votes.
Okay, our second budget and finance item is action item BF number 2504. Lehua, do we have anyone signed up to speak on this?
No one is signed up to speak on this item.
Okay, Chair recognizes trustee Alapa. Chair Alapa.
Action item BF number 25-04, approval of OHA funding for Ho'akoa Lahui event sponsorship for the Native Hawaiian Hospitality Association's Ho'okipa Hawaii Weekend event on February 15 and 16, 2025, in the amount of $15,000.
Second.
Trustee Wahe seconds. Trustees, any discussion? Okay, hearing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Ahuna,
Aye.
Trustee Akaka,
Aye.
Trustee Akina,
Aye.
Trustee Alapa,
Aye.
Trustee Galuteria,
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay, Trustee Souza, Trustee Waihe'e,
Yes.
and Chair Kahele.
Aye.
You have 9 yes votes.
Mahalo. Our next item is action item BF 2505. Do we have anyone signed up to speak on this?
No one is signed up to speak on this item.
Okay, Chair recognizes trustee Akaka.
Yes, before it's read, I just want to note that, the action item reads as 10,000, but we voted as 9,000 yesterday. Is it
We're on number 3 right now.
Okay, thank you. Just want
Uh,
to make sure that when that one comes up,
Sure.
that's what I see on the screen. Thank you.
Yeah, right now we're doing number 3, which is the Kukulu Ana I Kekaya Ulu event. Item number 2505. So trustee, Chair Alapa, can you read the motion?
Budget and Finance 25-05, approval of OHA funding for Ho'okoa Lahui event sponsorship for Halikipa's Pai Aina 2025 theme Kukulu Ana Ike Kaiaulu event on February 22nd, 2025, in the amount of $15,000.
Second.
Trustee Wahe seconds. Trustees, discussion. Hearing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Ahuna,
Aye.
Trustee Akaka,
Aye.
Trustee Akina,
Aye.
Trustee Alapa,
Aye.
Trustee Galuteria,
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay, Trustee Souza, Trustee Waihe'e,
Yes.
Chair Kahele.
Aye.
We have 9 yes votes.
Okay, our next item is action item BF 2506. Lehua, do we have anyone signed up to speak on this?
No one is signed up to speak on this item.
Okay, now, before we move on to the motion, do we have a clarification that trustee Akaka raised?
This is not the one. Yeah. That was Perika Hanamokuria, who came yesterday. That's in 2 weeks.
This one. Got it. So this is correct.
Let's go.
Okay, Chair Alapa to read the motion.
Our Committee on Budget and Finance having met on January 22nd, 2025, and after full and free discussion recommends approval of the following motion. For BF number 25-06, approval of OHA funding for the Ho'akoakoa Halahui event, sponsorship for Kanu'oka'aina Learning Ohana for the 2025 Kanayokana Aloha Leadership Awards, Leader Awards on March 3rd, 2025 in the amount of $10,000.
Second.
Trustee Wahe seconds. Trustees, any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ahuna,
Aye.
Trustee Akaka,
Aye.
Trustee Akina,
Aye.
Trustee Alapa,
Aye.
Trustee Galuteria,
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay, Trustee Souza, Trustee Waihe'e,
Yes.
and Chair Kahele.
Aye.
You have 9 yes votes.
Okay, before moving on to investment and land management, Pouhana, are we ready for the City Council Commission resolution? Are we able to put it on the screen? You have copies? Can you distribute those to the trustees? Thank you. How about we take a quick recess and we can review this? 5 minutes. We'll come back, time now 10:38. We'll come back at 10:45.